everyone, thank you so much for watching. Before we start, I thought that I would take a moment to thank you guys and the Lord for this wonderful encouragement that I've received this month. Thank you so much for your love and support for this channel. This channel has crossed its first 100 subscribers, and thank you so much for your love and support. And I thank the Lord for this wonderful encouragement that I've received this month. This month is a very special month for me because the 1st of August I developed symptoms like fever, cold, sore throat, loss of smell and loss of taste. A few weeks prior to this, I had done my corona duty in the hospital, and I did get tested afterwards, like after a week of that, and I was tested negative. So when I developed these symptoms, I really didn't think that it would be corona, because I did get tested previously and I should have thought it might have been corona, but I didn't. I just thought it was normal cold or sinusitis which I had from time to time. Anyways, I was living alone in Bangalore. My husband hasn't got his transfer yet, so I was living alone, but it was very difficult for me to do things by myself, like cooking and cleaning and all that. It was so difficult because I was very weak, and I didn't want to tell my parents because I knew that they would get scared and they would come and try to bring me home, and I didn't want to expose them if it was by any chance corona. So anyways, after 3 days I couldn't I was so lonely and I was so scared, and I was very weak. I couldn't do things on my own anymore. I couldn't cook meals or do anything. I was so feverish and weak, and then I had to tell my parents, and then they wanted to come and bring me home like I expected, but I didn't want them to come at any cost, especially at the cost that they might be exposed if it was corona. And I didn't have the energy to go on my own to the hospital in Bangalore and get tested. So anyways, my parents didn't listen to me, and I'm so thankful that they didn't. But by God's grace, they were able to cross the border and they brought me from Bangalore. So I traveled with them in a car, and my cousin came as a moral support to my parents, and all three of them were exposed to me. But we didn't know that it was corona till like 2 days after I came, because the results took some time to come. So to my absolute horror, the test results came back positive for corona. I didn't for 1 second while giving the swab that I thought that I would be positive, because my symptoms were mild. It was just nasal congestion, mild fever. I thought it was sinusitis, and because of sinusitis I was not able to smell or taste anything. But when I realized that it was positive, I just started crying, because my parents were exposed, and my cousin was exposed, and I was so scared for them, and I didn't want them to suffer. And I started pleading with the Lord, saying, Lord, if it is my sin or a mistake that I made, please don't let them suffer. I don't know why this is happening in my life. I did everything like properly. I took all the precautions that I could when I was doing my duty, and even after the duty I never met with anyone. I always wore a double mask. I sanitized, I washed my hands. So I didn't understand why it was happening, and I was so scared for my parents, and all I could think was what was the sin that I committed. Why are you allowing this in my life, Lord? What have I done? I was just crying. I was so scared for my parents and my cousin. But during that point of time when I thought that I had nothing to be grateful for or nothing to be thankful for, God reminded me of few things. He shone the light on few things that I could be grateful for. The first thing was that my symptoms were mild. Because my symptoms were mild, the doctors told that I could stay at home and have a regular monitoring. And that was a wonderful thing, because if I had been admitted to a hospital, my parents would not be able to come and see me. They would have been so stressed because of that. So I'm so I was so thankful to the Lord for that. My symptoms were mild and I was on home isolation, and I cannot thank the Lord enough for that. The second thing is, I was so grateful to my parents for the unconditional and such selfless love towards me. I know I'm their child, but they've put me before themselves and their health, and even though they were exposed to me, they didn't treat me differently. They said that they didn't want to admit me in a hospital. They were going to look after me. Whatever happens will happen, but they didn't want me to go there and be alone in the hospital. So I'm very grateful for such loving and wonderful parents, and I thank the Lord, and I'm so grateful to the Lord for giving me such wonderful parents and for their wonderful love towards me. And I was also thankful that later when they got tested, they were negative. Can you believe it? They were exposed to me for a very long time, but by God's grace, they were tested negative. Even till today, they do not have any problems. They're going about doing their work. They're fine, and I cannot thank the Lord enough for that wonderful grace. And my cousin, I'm so grateful to and for my cousin and his family. They have been such an amazing support to my family during this period. Then the other thing that God reminded me was that my husband didn't get a transfer. I was kind of upset because it's been more than a year and my husband hasn't got the transfer yet. So I was kind of upset about it, but God reminded me that it turned out to be a good thing, because if he had been with me in Bangalore, he would have been exposed to me. He might have also been infected along with me, and that is something which I'm very grateful for. I'm so grateful that he didn't get his transfer. I'm so grateful that he wasn't there with me at that point of time. And I was extremely grateful for all the people that were praying for us, my relatives, my church members. They have been such a strong prayer support for us, for me, my health and my family during this hard period. And I was also thankful that with every passing day, the Lord was restoring my health. My symptoms started getting better, my fever reduced, my nasal congestion reduced, and my sense of smell and sense of taste were coming back, and my weakness started reducing. I started feeling better. I still feel a little weak, but God is gradually restoring my health, and I was so thankful to the Lord during that period, because I could feel my energy building up with every passing day. So God showed me things that I could be grateful for even during that particular period of crisis, or that period of situation which was kind of scary. So during that process, God also taught me a few lessons, and I thought I would share them with you. The first thing is that sometimes God allows some situations in our life. It's not because of a sin that we've committed, or it's not a punishment to the mistake that we made, or it's not a consequence for a sin. It sometimes is allowed in our life to make us stronger and to bring glory to the name of the Lord. It's written in the Bible as well that sometimes things happen to bring glory to the Lord. And I believe that this situation is one of the examples to bring glory to the Lord. Second thing that the Lord taught me is that God cares about each and every small aspect of our life. He cares about people that we care. He cares about things that we care about. If we see in Matthew chapter 10, verse 30, it is written that, okay, I'll read from 29. Are not 2 sparrows sold for a copper coin, and not one of them falls to the ground apart from your Father's will? But the very hairs of your head are all numbered. Do not fear, therefore, you are of more value than many sparrows. So in this we can, from this passage we can understand that without the Lord's consent, not even a single strand of hair from our scalp falls onto the ground. So it shows that God cares about every small thing It's just a single hair, right? But God cares about a single strand of hair as well. So how much more would He care for people in your life, for the people you care about, for the things that you care? I could see in my life when my parents were tested negative and they're doing fine, that God took care of the things that I was worried about. The third thing that I learned was that if my human parents can love me so much, then how much more would our Heavenly Father love us and want to give us good things? So that is something which I started brooding about, and I realized that I couldn't comprehend the love that the Lord has for us. His love is much more than anybody's love in this whole world. And I saw my parents and their selfless act towards me that spoke volumes. I realized that our Father's love, our Father in heaven, His love is much, much more than that. And that gave me such a great comfort during that time. Fourth thing that I learned was not to take anything or anyone for granted. My sense of smell, my sense of taste was something I took for granted. And when I slowly started to regain my smell, I realized how important and how blessed I was, and how important it was for me to thank the Lord for that sense of smell that I had. And I realized that I shouldn't take any small thing in my life for granted. I also realized that I shouldn't take anyone for granted in my life. I sometimes take my parents for granted, but only after seeing how much love they have towards me and how selfless they were. They didn't think that she's a grown girl, she's a grown woman, we don't have to take care of her. They didn't think that because she's married, we don't have to take care of her anymore. They never thought that, not even for a single moment. There was no need for them to do that, but because of their love, they put me ahead, and I realized that moment not to take them for granted, not to take their love for granted. And not just parents, I urge you all not to take anyone for granted. Your wife, your husband, your parents, your children, your grandparents, your siblings, your relatives. Please don't take anyone for granted. When they do things for you and when they put you ahead, it's because of the love they have for you, but not because they have to or they have no other choice. It's because they want to do. And I think that we should not take anyone for granted, and that's something which I learned. And I hope that you would learn from my mistakes and you wouldn't take anyone for granted. And I realized that sometimes I even took God for granted. I thought that He's my God and He has to do things for me. He has to protect me. Obviously He has to do this, obviously He has to do that. No, please do not take God for granted. And that is something else which I learned from this experience, and I hope that you would learn from my mistakes. And the other thing which I learned is that God is in control. No matter what happens, He's there, and He will walk you through whatever situation in life you're going through. He's going to hold your hand and bring you out victoriously to the other side. But do not give up, do not be discouraged. God is there with you. The sixth important lesson which I learned was not to put off things for later. The things that you have determined to do it then and there. Do not procrastinate. Do not put them off for a later time. I was very scared when I got the result to be positive for corona. And after that I realized that I shouldn't put anything off. If the Lord tells me to do something, I realize that I should do it then and there. And I hope that my testimony and the lessons which I learned will help you guys also in your life and in the situations that you're going through. So if you could be so kind to comment the one thing you are grateful for this month, then we could all rejoice together as a community for what the Lord has done in our lives. Thank you so much. God bless you.